Hey guys, this is Fang/VA here, coming at you with a new video, and I kind of butchered my intro a little bit, but that's fine. And in today's video, I want to discuss something a bit more, I guess you can say a bit more, I don't know if this is going to be a controversial video, but I would imagine it might be considered a bit of a hot take. I really don't know what to label this one, to be honest. And that is about difficulty in video games, especially with modern video games and some ports, like a certain Sonic port that came out during Sonic's birthday. But anyways, you guys, if you all are new here, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And a bit of a disclaimer, if I don't sound offbeat, that's because early Thursday morning, around around midnight to about, last time it happened was about 1:33, something like that. My power kept going on and off, and because of that, and because I am one that I don't like it when my power goes off, because I am actually afraid of the dark, I stayed up till 5 a.m. to make sure that it didn't happen again, so I could sleep. Plus, I also need a fan, so no fan equals I'm going to have time falling asleep. So, with that said, if I don't sound offbeat, that's why. So, difficulty in video games have been, I guess, a bit of a topic that a lot of YouTubers love to do every time a new Dark Souls or a new Souls game comes out, because you will always have that camp that is like, there has to be a easy difficulty for a word that is a bit of a buzzword in the gaming space, which is, of course, is accessibility. Now, for me, right, I'm going to be turning 30 this year, actually next month, on the 19th. So naturally, I started playing video games at the tail end of the... Let me rephrase that. I started playing video games around the N64, Saturn, and PlayStation 1 era. And of course, my first console was the Super Nintendo. So naturally, when it comes to video games back then, you didn't know what to expect until you got the game home and you put in the disc or the cartridge and you started playing it. And if it's a hard game, then, well, you power through. And the fact of the matter is, back then, a lot of those games were trial and error. Unless, of course, it was an RPG or a Zelda, to where, you didn't have to worry too much about learning the levels. Now, yes, in Mega Man games, you had to learn which power worked best on the next enemy. So, like, if you got a weapon from Pyro Man, you would have to figure out, which, I forgot the name of, I forgot the name of what the bosses are called in the OG Mega Man series. I'm sure that my editor will put something here to explain what it is, because I'm tired, but like I said, I might also be kind of forgetful at times too, so I want to apologize. I always strive for quality in my videos, and sometimes that quality is not at the 100% mark like I want it to be. I'm very much a perfectionist. So back then, a lot of games were trial and error. And sometimes with RPGs, sometimes you do need to use a certain weapon on a boss, because maybe they're immune to everything but magic. So back then, if you needed help, you only had a few options. You better hope that you had a friend, or you knew somebody at school that played the same game and they beat it, so that they can tell you what to do. B, you would have a game guide, like a Nintendo Power or a strategy guide, or you could call one of the old hotlines, which means unlike nowadays, you were paying someone to give you advice on what to do in a game, which could be costly. Yes, folks, people did do that, and yes, kids got in trouble probably a lot because of it. Luckily nowadays we have the advantage of having walkthroughs, YouTube videos if we get stuck. So there's that. But back then, games really strived you to learn the game and for you to quote modern terms, to get good. Because back then it was very much a freaking skill issue. Especially if you were impatient like me. Now, I do have autism, so that might have factored into my impatientness as well as a child. I'm definitely not one of those kids that can play a game and I do very good at it. I will say that my gaming skills have matured over the years, but I didn't start really getting good at gaming maybe until like in my later kids' years. So, I mean, that's just what you had to do back then. You literally had to learn how the game works. And you should not rush the process, or else the game is literally going to kick your butt. Even as simple as a Mario game, back then could kick your butt. But nowadays, it seems like people have kind of forgotten that's what games were like. Because, again, every time a new Souls game comes out, people want a freaking easy mode, and I gotta give the developers a big round of applause for sticking to their vision. In my opinion, that series should not have a easy mode. If you want to get good at that game, if you want to play it, then you better buckle down and learn the game mechanics, and realize that you're gonna have to learn the freaking boss patterns. And now, also luckily, we do have games coming out that that are very much old school inspired, especially in the indie gaming scene as well. You know, we have a lot of games like that too, where you have to learn how the game works, and that's the thing nowadays. People don't want to do that. They want to instantly pick up the game and easily kick a boss's butt or easily take care of a challenge. There are people out there, if something is remotely difficult, they literally freeze up. Borderline freeze up. There's another word for it. I know what it is on the tip of my tongue. Glorm. I hope that didn't sound like something, and if it does, editor, you know what to do. Censor it if it sounds like something else. And yes, the reason why I call out my editor is because she's helping me record these videos for you guys. So there might be like a little chibi Mizu that pops up on the screen saying hi or whatever. I don't know what she plans on doing. I don't watch my videos. So once I started, once word got around that the final update for Sonic Frontiers got inspiration from this game that, was a rage game, there were people in my Discord server that was actually freaking out about the difficulty. And in my opinion, I think that update really isn't a bad thing because at that point, you know how Sonic Frontiers works, you have mastered the game mechanics, you know those enemies inside and out, you know the stages inside and out. So what's hindering you from doing those challenges? Okay, yes, it might take you a few tries. So what? Like, you want every like my problem is nowadays people want every game to hold their hand. And for me, if I play a game that's too easy, I get bored. Now here's the thing, I play Kirby, but the thing is, there's a difference between simple and fun and a game that is literally doing the work for me. And just like that, that's definitely something that I want cut out because that sounds incredibly dumb. So, quick edit here. I said something incredibly contradicting. I originally said something about like I want games to be simple, fun, and not a game that doesn't work for me. And I've come to realize that Kirby games are pretty much games that people actually do complain about the difficulty on. It's weird. Because with Kirby, people think that Kirby games are too easy nowadays, but here's the thing. I don't just play horror games. Sometimes I do have chill games that I do play if I'm stressed out or whatever. Kirby is one of them. It's just a fun, simple platformer. That's all it is. But what I'm talking about is like people literally on their knees begging for games to have a difficulty, to being able to choose your difficulty. Now with some games, yes, that's fine, especially if the game can work around that. But for games like Dark Souls and something that's old school inspired, screw that. I don't freaking care if someone really wants to play Elden Ring, but they keep constantly getting their butt kicked. Like, I don't... In my opinion, that's not the dev's fault. You knew what you were getting into. You paid the money, or you asked it for a gift for your birthday or Christmas or whatever. At that point, you should know what you were expecting. Watching someone play those games is different than actually playing them. One other thing that I don't like nowadays is when there's ports of an older games and they decide to take out the lives, continues, and game overs. Sonic Origins and Sonic Colors Ultimate is guilty of that. Yes, in Sonic Origins, I can still have that, but it's with the classic mode. Naturally, I want to play those games in widescreen. I have other ways I can play it in its OG 4:3 aspect ratio. That should have been a feature that people could turn on and off. It should not have been a core, quote-unquote, quality of life feature. That's not quality of life in my opinion. That is literally making it to where if someone is screwing up in Sonic 1 way too much, they can get past that game easily. Because of that, well, I have this many coins, so I don't have to worry about getting, a game over screen. These older games want you to learn and want you to keep coming back to put your time in them. It used to be where during the time of Blockbuster and those video rental shops, that people used to make games that was so brutally hard to counter renting a game, because people would rent the game, beat it, and then not want to play it more. It used to be where if you had a hard game and you rented it, chances are you weren't going to beat it that weekend. That means you would have to keep renting it every weekend, and by that point, I would imagine that your skills aren't there. You probably don't remember some of the things you have to do. So what happens is you would probably have to get it for a birthday present or Christmas present. The thing is, you guys, difficulty in video. I know that video games has become this mainstream mass market. I know that nowadays nerd culture is seen as quote unquote cool. But I do often wonder, a lot of these people that have complained about difficulty in games, I do often wonder if they've forgotten how hard video games used to be, or that they just got into it when it was seen as cool. I remember when the Crash Bandicoot and Insane Trilogy, people were literally calling it the Dark Souls of platforming. You want to know how much that got on my nerves? It got on my nerves big time. I grew up with those games. I think people should have done their research a little bit more on how hard those games can be. I guess Crash Bandicoot is that old school mentality of, you better learn this level or else you're going to get quite literally going to get curb stomped. Now for me, right, I don't mind a game having a choose your difficulty thing, but like I said previously, if the game is designed around it. When it comes to modern ports of retro games, they should not be changed to make it easier for newcomers. Because in my opinion, I want future generations to experience the same game that I did, the same way I did, and learn the games the same way I did. Now again, people might think I'm gatekeeping. And you know what, if I'm gatekeeping, well, I don't want challenge to be sucked out of my video games. I don't want challenge to be a thing of the past, just to make these few people that put the money down for this hard game and they just can't get past it, and even though they knew what to expect. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. If you guys knew what you were getting into with those games, you wouldn't be buying them. And when it comes to Sonic being inspired by a Rage game, so what? So what? So what if you can't get past something? Keep trying. Because in my opinion, it is far more rewarding beating something challenging than beating something that is holding my hand. There's room for both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I don't mind playing chill RPGs. I mean, heck, right now on my Switch, I'm playing through the frickin' OG Paper Mario. Have I gotten my butt kicked? Yes, I have. But overall, it's a nice, relaxing, chill, laid-back RPG. And I'm having fun with it because I'm super hype for not just the Mario RPG remake, but also a game that I've always wanted to play that I never owned on my GameCube. Because I got my GameCube at the end of its life cycle, the 1,000-Year Door. And what I also like about Nintendo is that when it comes to Mario, they keep the lives and the game over screens in their games. Because to me, Nintendo will always represent tradition. That is why I'm still a fan of them, even though I don't always agree with their business. So, let me just reiterate something. I pretty much already know I might get some pushback on this video. I'm already expecting it. But we can have a mature conversation about this too. So let me know what you all think what I said. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and let's start that conversation as well. And one more thing. If you honestly believe that I want challenge in my games, like I said, not only am I replaying Paper Mario, but I still play a lot of games that are seen as simple and easy. Kirby being one of them, the Pokemon series. But that's the thing. And like I just said, we need a good balance of both. So if you're shelling out the money to buy a hard game and you knew what to expect, that's on you. Don't sit there on social media begging, Namco Bandai Bandai Namco to put in a easy difficulty just because you can't learn the game mechanics. That's not their fault, that's on you. Learn the games. Learn the levels, the game mechanics. Learn to dodge, learn to roll, These games teaches you these things so you can survive and to get through the games. But I guess that's the one strength about gaming, is that gaming has always had this variety of both challenging and laid back, gaming experiences. And you can bet I'll be playing through the final update for Sonic Frontiers, and I will give you all my opinion if these challenges are truly that challenging or not, or if it's simply the fact that, like I said, I think people have gotten accustomed to games holding their hands nowadays. And I think that's what it boils down to. So, like I said, let me know what y'all think. And, yeah. As always, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great weekend, guys. See ya.